Okay, so we're working our way through this big old bird. To be honest, it's coming together really, really well, very quickly, but we still got to do quite a few jobs before we can get it over to the paint bay and everything else like that. So what I'm going to do is try and work through it a little bit more methodical. We've done obviously the re-riveting, the rescribing, that's all fine, I have no issues with that. We're going to put the raised rivets on, but we're going to be using Archer ones. They're a little bit delicate, so they're going to be one of the last things to go on before we move into the paint stage. So we'll just hold fire for those for a moment. So we're going to start at the front and we're going to work our way through the back and everything like that. So down here you might see this little gem. Literally, it is. What we've actually got, these are, I think I call them rhinestones. I've got them, pack of them, various different sizes. These make great little lumps for heads-up display. For ages I used to use a bit of PVA glue and then paint it and all the rest of it. And then I forget who told me, sorry, but somebody said, or I saw somebody on the internet and they used these. And I thought that's a really good idea. So actually what we've got is a bag of these to say they come in different sizes. You've probably seen them if you saw my tour around the studio the other day. When we was looking through the tool chest. So this is the type of thing we do. So drop a PVA glue, we drop it down in there, and then we come along with something like a clear green, okay, which then overcoats it, and because of the orange, it works well. But as you can see, it's a little bit, shall we say, sparkly. So we need to knock it back just a little bit, but it enables us to have something of a focal point in there. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to grab this and a little brush. So I'm going to dive in and grab some of the thicker green stuff from the bottom, and we're just going to overcoat this, just to pick a bit up. Okay, and we're just going to go over it so we get that sort of orangey colour, and it knocks it back in one. So it's still there, you can still, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on camera, but when you catch it in different lights, it's going to look pretty good, okay? Used it in the last couple of builds when we've done this type of thing. And, you know, thoroughly thought it's just one of those things. It's a focal point of the aircraft, the heads-up display and all the rest of it. When you put the glass in there, if you don't have something underneath it, it just looks like a sheet of glass. If you put that in, it does reflect against it. So you get that little green hue, the little orange hue coming off of it and things like that. The other thing we've had to do down here at the back, if you remember when we were test fitting the clear canopy, and we was putting it up, this box here at the back was too big, so what we've actually done is sand it down. Now I've checked references and things like that, and to be honest, it doesn't look like it's that big anyway, but now the canopy fits on there absolutely perfect. And as you can see, we've already masked up the front one. I'm going to show you the rear one because it's got a centre seam, but generally this does fit on here very well. And what's quite nice, little touches on this kit, got a little tiny block just there, and there's one on the other side. That keeps it so you've got perfect spread of the canopy fitted in. And to be honest, this canopy, considering it's very thin and everything like that, it actually isn't too bad. Now what I might do is what I call soft tack it in place. When you look at the real thing, there's quite a nasty seam line runs all the way around the canopy. If you did end up with a small gap, it wouldn't be end of the world. So what I might do is soft tack it into place. And then what we'll do is back dip it, i.e. we'll do the dipping of it to clean up, crystal clear the canopy, everything else like that once it's all been painted. So we do the pre-paint, the black obviously down in there, then we'll put on the grey for obviously the top coat, decal it, all the bits and pieces, so it sits on there. Afterwards we take it all off and then we dip the canopy and then we'll flat coat around the outside of it. So we're left with a crystal clear canopy. So one of these down on here, we've covered this lots and lots of times before. But you can probably see we do have a center seam running all the way through. Now this center seam you can see between my fingers here and here is supposed to be there. Okay, this is actually a antenna that runs up through the canopy, okay? But obviously it's not on this back bit down here, so that has to go. So we'll just give this a quick sand off. Okay, so we're just going to sand off that rear one because obviously that's just going to be metal. Okay. So we're just going to get rid of that so it's completely gone. Okay, just a little bit down here. Again, that will go mainly with primer. Now our issue is up here. Now we've covered taking out center seams 100 times before. There's dedicated videos on it, lots of places to go and see it. The last one we did, to be honest, was doing on the Mustang. Go and have a look at that one, okay? Generally it's very thin. What I normally would do is put a little bit of blue tack down in here or white tack, just push it up softly in there so it takes the pressure. The thing is you can't see what I'm doing when I do that. So what I tend to do is you can use a knife or a back blade or whatever you want to use. And he says, trying to find all of my stuff that's moved. Here it is. Okay, so all we've got to do is take out between these two lines. So to start with, we are just going to scrape out the seam until it's just flat. Okay, so when you look at it through the glass, it's just now looks like a smudge. That has got rid of the center seam. So now what you're going to do is do everything to put it back nice as glossy. So what we're going to do is just going to go through a couple of things. So to be honest, we will just grab a fine sanding sponge. I'll use a skinny for these ones. Okay, we want something that's had a bit of work on it. So this guy here, this will just keep it as a nice rounded area. Okay, and what we're trying to do is just blend areas around and everything to one. Remember, we're not trying to get this seam here, so don't worry about that, it's just there. Okay, that's it, that's got rid of that, and then we're just going to come in and polish it out. So I'm going to use a black one to start with. Okay, I'm going to wet it just a little bit, just to polish this up. So what we're trying to do with each layer is get rid of the scratch marks from the time before. It is simple as that, okay? So that's it wet, now we're going to do it dry. And that's all you're trying to do. And what you want to do is just increase it outwards just a little bit. Okay, so now we're getting just to a little bit of fogginess. Now we can come in with the buffer. All right, so for the buffer, what we're going to do is wet it so this releases a little bit of compound. And then each time we do this, we are literally just trying to get rid of the previous step. Okay. So there we go, you can see it's getting slightly clearer, it's getting more foggy. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll just turn this around, another cleaner one. So there's a dry one here, okay. Okay, so very lightly, this is just dry. Okay, so the scratches are getting smaller and smaller, then we'll go over to the white side. And this is the magic bit. This is where it polishes it away, and I'm to be very careful as I do this because I don't want to crack the canopy. So we're just working our way, and as you can see it's getting clearer. I'm going to wet it just a bit. And this is the miracle side because this will polish glass and everything. To be honest, these were originally designed for polishing aircraft windows, lights and things like that. So that's why I know they were good for doing this type of job. Okay, you can hear that squeak, means it's polished. Now obviously we're going to dip this one afterwards just to improve the clarity because they're not brilliant, but there we go. As you can see, it's now just maybe a little fade in there. So if you used to dip that now, you wouldn't have any problem at all. But normally what you do is come in with polishing compounds, and if you wanted to make it like a mirror, but this guy will do it just equally as well. If I give it a bit of a good go in, try not to crack it. There we go. Okay, and there we go. That's that centre seam taken out of, crystal clear in there. No problem at all. Okay, so now you can come up and mask that one up, and again we've covered masking lots of times before. This scale you can use thinner tapes and physically bend them all round. So if you wanted to, masking tapes, I am a little bit low on 6mm tape, but what you can do, this will probably suffice. So what we'll do, we're just going to put a strip just down in here. And we're just going to cut it in two, roughly. Okay. And then this we'll do as our outside edge. And then all we'll do, where we're going to start, I'll tell you what, we'll start over here. We just place it exactly where you want to start, and that way you're pulling and stretching as you make your way round the canopy. Okay, then when you get to like 90-degree ones like this, just nudge it down with your nail, gives you a nice seal. cut. Okay, and then you can carry it on. So then we just tuck this guy down in here. And there's a little bit of a wave to this, and this is why it's quite good. So you just push down and crimp, push down and crimp, push down and crimp, and then you're just going to do that thing of pushing and crimping and dragging. Okay. And again, it's just a case of stretching that tape, and to be honest, that one's not going to go in. So, but you can go round like that, and what we'll do, we'll back go the other way. So then we just pop this in here, right up to that back line. Okay, and then in there, and we'll go backwards. And because we've got loads of tape left over, we'll take this right the way over here, grab a sharp pair of scissors, and just do a little bit of backfill in there. Okay, we know it's going to have a problem up there somewhere, so we're just going to walk this round. Okay, just into that, so we can just tidy up this guy. It's going to go around about there. This one down on the back here just needs to be straightened up a bit. And again, this is one of those things, it's a focal point. It's one of those areas where it needs to be right, otherwise everyone's going to see a mistake and they will all want to point it out to you. Okay, so that's why certain areas I'm quite happy to, you don't worry about it. Other areas I'm very, very fastidious about, okay. Just need to lift that one up a touch. Here we go. Okay, this back bit. Just going to fill the line up. Okay, take him up. Okay. Now we can just backfill this one around. Okay, so you can just, as I say, if you have got masking sets, they are nice and they're lovely, and don't get me wrong, but I must admit, unless it's a really complex nightmare scenario for doing this type of thing, I do tend to stick with my own way of doing it like this. So what we're doing, we're just cutting off the angle. So this will fit in here. Okay. So now we've got to do is just finish off this last bit just down in here. This one that's just going to pop across the back here. So, okay. It's that thing of pull and drag and pull and drag, and then just knead it into position exactly where it is. And because you've got tape down here already, this is quite a straightforward job of cutting that in. Okay, and there we go, that's your canopy master. Obviously seats and stuff like that, we'll worry all about that later on. So over here, you can see how this is dried in now. Okay, so that will fit in there. As we know, we checked it when we put the cockpit together. We've got a perfect fit, which actually amazes me. with all the work we did down in there, that actually that went so well. But there we go, that's our canopy, will be fitted once it's ready to go and be glued in and everything just like that. We've still got the glass work obviously for the heads up display. We'll put that in obviously before you put this on, but it depends on what you're going to do. I might probably fit this in purely because I'll do it with PVA glue. If it goes wrong, I can take it off afterwards, but I do like that nicer fit with it all. So what we're going to do is we'll get the glass work out. We can get that fitted in. We're going to come round on here because you might notice down on here we've got various scoops that need to put on. These are little air intakes and stuff like that. So we need to get those fitted onto this one so it's all good and everything. So they're all fitted in there. We need to fit on the top here. Okay, so because the engine work, I've done a little bit of work down there, but obviously this is going to have a seam and stuff, so we need to get this one in and do it like that. So once that's all in and taken care of, we can get other things onto this one, like we can put on temporarily the actual aileron speed brake system. We get those fitted onto it and just generally pushing our way through. Okay, so we're working our way along through the cockpit, doing the heads-up display. And we came across this, which is quite a bit of a problem because you can see it's got a massive ejector pin mark in it. Now this is the glass for the heads-up display, and also it's not very nice. It's pretty, you know, chunky, and it's got lines in it and a big ejector pin. So, you know, you've only got one option there. You're gonna have to sand it out and then polish. And because it's on something so tiny, it's a case of no. Okay, did think about acetate, but I think acetate will actually look too thin because the glass is quite thick on these. So what we've done is down here, you can actually see this is the glass from the actual instrument panel, which is crystal clear. It's a very nice piece. Okay, so what we've done is we've used this one as a template and we've overlaid it and then drawn around it to give us our new one. So now what we're going to do is actually sand this one back to exactly these dimensions, and then that way it will fit into the cockpit. So a quick little thing, quick little fix. We'll get that sanded and put in. The other thing as well we've done, you can probably see it down in here, is hopefully we catch it at the different angles and things. We've given it a dust coat. Now, a dust coat is generally just the grey wash, so we've used a little bit of the grey wash, or is that the concrete wash, put that on, dabbed it all around, let it dry, and then with a moist, we'll say very damp even, cotton bud, just buffed it in. And what this enables this to do then is to give it this sort of dusty look around the cockpit. If you use light wash, the white one, the trouble with that is it's going to be too pingy. So by using the grey, it just gives it that worn-in look. A10s, the environment they're in, things like that, they're never pristine. They always have this sort of dusty look to them. So that's what we've recreated by putting that on right the way around it. But generally, I just wanted to make those two little points because, as I say, it is a little bit of a pain when you get this and suddenly it's got a whacking great ejector pin in the middle of it. So really, it's no good to man or beast. So what we'll do, we'll sand this one into shape, get it fitted on there, and then what we're going to use is PVA glue the front canopy. We get that one put in literally just like that, so that'll fit very nicely, and then we'll temporarily tack this back part in, and then you'll see this, we've got the speed brakes going in there. I'll show you those in a moment. We get all the scoops and the various things put on this one and really pushing on very nicely. Okay, we've pushed on quite a bit. Okay, let's show you exactly what we've done. So we've installed the these are the sort of ailerons stroke speed brakes. As you can see, they sort of open and close. It's a gimmick. At the end of the day, I think they're going to fall off and break. So what we do is tack them roughly into position, paint it, and then we'll set them with glue exactly how we want to have them. To be honest, I'm going to have them out because it's quite iconic with them having them out. We've gone around and we've started putting all the little details on. So as you might notice, we've got the little sensor sight just down on here. And then we've got two little air scoops up on here. On the top, we've got aerials fitted. So we've got this little one here. We've got the, I think it's the GPS dome fitted on there. Again, it's a little bit finicky how that goes in. It takes a little bit of playing to sort of get it to lay in properly. And we've got this other aerial down on here. You can see on the front here we've gone in and we've got the front canopy glued in place, no problem at all, and I've tacked in, you can actually see it through there, with a little bit of tack to hold that canopy in. And I have to say, look, they're saying about those are falling off already. That's in there, no problem at all. More scoops on this side. We've got these two little cooler vents just down on there, and then again at the top here for the electronics of those have all gone in. We've also put on the two little blades on the front here which deflect the air going back and everything in there. We've also now fully glued and set in place the tailplanes because we're doing the grey one. As you said before, perhaps if you were doing the camo, I'd put them on afterwards because it would just be easier to get in there and get around all the angles. But technically we're all there. Oh, and we've got the that antenna down here on the bottom, so that is fitted in as again. I haven't done the ones down the back purely because when you put this thing down, it's going to be pulling on them and pushing on them, but there's 3 other ones and a drain vent that are going to go down at the back. As soon as I think we get this thing into a situation where we can get it up on a temporary gear fix or something else like that, then we'll fit those in. But the thing is, they're going to be black, so you could do them whilst it is being painted. So generally, we are now ready to get that into prime. I've got to do a little bit more work just around on this side down on here, a little bit more of rescribing just to put that in and make it good, and we've got to get the refueling door on the front of that. But apart from that, we are set and ready to go. The other big thing we have been tackling, which is all back here, which should be dry by now, is the engine work. So I'm hoping all these are dry now. I've been hanging around a little while. So now, this is where I've had a change of heart as I was doing this on the fly. When we started putting these together, I had every intention of having it with engines open and detailed shown. But when I've looked into this, you get this situation. So what you have is this. What you would need to do is cut this open. Now these are clear, so you're supposed to see the engine. It just, again, it's a gimmick. It doesn't look like it in real life. When you look at the real thing, and obviously going back to our references we've got here, but this is the engine. As you can see, you'd have to take that side panel off to show it. Okay, if you're going to have that panel off, it's not going to be in the configuration I want this thing to be in. The configuration I want with this one to be in is to actually look like it's on the flight line. It's got the doors open, a little bit of work, it's going to be armed and everything else. Obviously you're not going to have access doors open, it's going to be armed and things like that. So we are going to go with the more basic one, which is going to be sort of on the flight line with the door perhaps just tucked open or something else like that if you wanted to. Or the way I'm thinking about it is to seal it up. And I know it's a shame because one of the kind members sent me these, which are replacement engines for it. And I know Steve's got a set as well. Now these are better castings than what you get in the originals. I've used the kit ones in these. I don't know why, because they're that bad. But these are aftermarket ones. The detail is better. There's no seam line running through it that you get cast on those horrible ones you get with it. They're also lighter as well, which is a nice touch. But these, I'm thinking I might use them as a standalone stand for it. So perhaps we'll detail these up, have it as a separate item. We'll make up a little stand for it so it looks like the engine's been taken out, which is pretty much what we got down on here. So if you wanted to do something like that and actually have the engine out of the housing, you could. Okay, so from that point of view, I think it's just a better way to go. But again, all these parts are in clear, which is a little bit of a pain, but in some ways it does work very much with us. Now we've got the fan blades down in here. Okay, again, they're not perfect. Adequate probably, I think, would be the one word you'd use for it. But also you do get a nice slip. If I can find where's the join there. So this will, when it does push in, as I did earlier, oh, the other, that one's the one we haven't cleaned up yet. Where's the one we have? This is the one we have. Okay, so this hopefully will fit in here. And it does give a nice seal edge right the way around here. And then again, if you look at A10s, they spray in there, but technically there should be a demarcation line. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this as like a grey. We're not going to do the white that goes down in there. We're going to have it as grey, but this will be actually the aircraft sort of colour. So there will be a slight difference in colour, which will give it a nice transition between the two. So again, we'll paint this as a whole. Then we'll put this guy onto the inside of this and get it glued into position. And then this outer one, if I remember rightly, one of these sits in here. I think it's this one, goes to the inside. So there's lots of little locking bits and pieces on this. Now if you wanted to, you could go into have a situation where you're going to have all of these done, painted and all the bits and pieces, and you can put them down, and the outer colours as well, as you can see quite clearly down on here. You see you've got the black, and then you've got this tan colour, then the white on the inside, but you see on this one in here, again, it's grey. It's not showing it as white. Some of them, like this guy, clearly is white. So again, it's sort of horses for courses on this, and whichever sort of one you want to do, but hopefully you can get freeze it if you want. You can get a look at obviously some of the different ways of it's all going to go in here. But again, I'm thinking, right, we'll get this in closed up, we'll put it in and everything like that, really, than trying to mess around with it. But by the time these blades are painted, it will have that nice depth look of it, because this will come in like this will be in at the back and all those things. I think it'll be quite practical for what we need, that it will look good. And then obviously this then marries up with the front of this. Okay, as this will all go down and in and everything else like that. So with any luck, we'll have something looking very nice. As soon as we've got those on, because we can get these lower parts in here, they can then be glued onto here. which they're not a million miles out anyway, and then we can take care of both of these little seam lines that we've actually got. See, running out of room. As you can see, this one, when it fits in here, as I say, it's a little bit tricky trying to get it in. There we go. But it will sit in there literally just like that, and it will all be in one position, and that way we can paint it up, and we'll be able to mask this one afterwards. Again, if we were going to be doing suitable detailing and everything else, I would show you a lot more about it, but it is just a case of putting this in. One little tip though, because this is clear and this has got no real way of centering or anything else like that, what I actually did was I put a little bit of blue tack into the inside of this, or white tack, whatever you want to use, pop it in the side and then pressed it against it, super glued it in position. That way the end nozzle sits correctly to the rear, and as we've got in that one. Otherwise what happens is it falls in to one side, and also as you can see here, this isn't even wanting to sit in on here. That doesn't matter because obviously we're going to have the first stage of the blades are going to go on now, the fan blades, but the rest of it would be a problem if you are doing it as completely open. Anyway, I'm going to put the rest of these together, get them in, and then what we can do is we'll get this plated on, put that on, final check over, a couple little bits pieces to do on it, and we're ready for primer.